The small colony of Lethery hung at the edge of the galaxy, far from the major trade routes and even farther from anyone who might care. The planet's surface was covered with soft blue grass and tall, thin trees that swayed in the gentle wind. The skies were always tinged with green, a sign of the strange atmosphere the humans might have called unbreathable. But to the people of Lethery, it was home. Erlon, the colony leader, walked slowly along the main pathway of the settlement. He was not a young man. His hair had streaks of white, and his hand shook slightly as he touched the controls of the communication terminal. The colony had been peaceful for decades, never drawing attention, until the day the raiders appeared. The alarm had sounded hours ago, but there was little the colony could do. Their shields were weak, their weapons small. The raiders moved like shadows, fast and precise. They destroyed everything in their path with cold efficiency. Erlon felt the weight of helplessness pressing on him. He had led his people through droughts, storms, and disease, but nothing like this. Nothing that made the fear of death so real. Erlon, a voice called. It was soft but urgent. A young scout ran toward him, her blue uniform dusty and torn. The raiders are approaching the eastern fields. They've already destroyed the research station. Erlon nodded slowly. Send the remaining workers to the shelters. Make sure the children are safe. His voice was calm, but inside, his heart raced. He had spent his life trying to prepare for small problems, and now the problem was enormous. He walked toward the communication terminal and stared at the blinking light. That marked the outgoing distress channel. He knew what he had to do. The colony had a standard protocol for emergencies. They would send a distress signal to anyone listening. Usually, it was just a formality. The galaxy was vast, and most powers ignored small colonies on distant worlds. But they had no choice. If they didn't try, there would be no chance at all. Erlon typed the message carefully, his fingers trembling slightly. This is the colony of Lethery. We are under attack by unknown raiders. We request immediate assistance. Our population is at risk. Coordinates are attached. He paused and looked at the young scout standing nearby. Do you think anyone will respond? She shook her head, but she didn't speak. No one had spoken a word of hope in hours, not even her. Send it, Erlon said finally. The scout pressed the button, and the message vanished into the endless void of space. Erlon returned to the small control room and watched the skies. The raiders were coming closer now. Shadows moved over the fields, and the distant sound of explosions echoed faintly through the thin atmosphere. The colony's people had retreated to the shelters, following the instructions that Erlon had drilled into them for years. He felt a pang of guilt. They were safe underground, but what about the planet itself? What about their homes, their work, the history they had built? Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time had lost meaning. Erlon stayed at the terminal, watching the blinking light of the distress channel. He sent a second message, a more urgent one this time, repeating the same words. And then a third. He hoped that someone, anyone, would hear it far across space. In a quiet sector of the human-controlled area, a listening station floated silently among the stars. The station was old but functional. Its crew consisted of a few humans, assigned to routine monitoring of communications from the far reaches of space. Officer Laura Bennett was in charge of this shift. She sat in front of the main console, sipping lukewarm coffee and staring at the flickering screen. She had been bored for hours, watching the usual traffic of trade reports, minor ship messages, and occasional scientific observations. And then she saw a weak signal, almost too faint to detect. She leaned closer, squinting at the readout. Captain, she called, though no one else was in the room. You need to see this. The station was quiet, and her voice sounded strange in the empty space. She replayed the signal, listening carefully. The voice was alien, structured in a way that humans had never fully decoded. But the meaning was clear. Someone was asking for help. Laura frowned. She had read the procedure many times before. Most of the time, distress signals from far-off colonies were false, or they were ignored because sending help was too costly. But this one, something about it made her stomach tighten. She could not explain it, but she knew it was real. She transmitted the message to the higher command. "We have received a distress call from a distant colony. I believe it requires immediate attention." There was silence for a few moments before a reply came back. "Acknowledged, Officer Bennett. This is low priority. No immediate action required." Laura's hands tightened on the console. "Sir, they are under attack. They will not survive without assistance. Please authorize a response." The reply was delayed, and when it finally came, it was hesitant. "We will review. Maintain observation." Laura knew that review meant time the colony did not have. She sat back, thinking, and then made a decision. She activated the long-range comm to the nearest human warship. The ship was named Horizon Dawn, a mid-sized patrol vessel designed for exploration and defense. The ship's crew had been traveling a quiet route through uncharted sectors, unaware that their next encounter would change many lives. Captain Ryan Cole was the commanding officer of Horizon Dawn. He was a man of experience, with graying hair at the temples and calm brown eyes that seemed to see through chaos. He was in the middle of reviewing routine sensor reports when the signal came through. "Captain, we have a weak distress signal from the outer edges of the galaxy," Laura said over the comm. "They are under attack. The colony is called Lethery." Ryan leaned forward, studying the data. The signal was faint, almost lost in the background noise, but it was persistent. He listened carefully to the pattern, the urgency, and the desperation behind it. "Show me the location," he said. Coordinates appeared on his screen. The sector was remote, dangerous, and almost never patrolled by human ships. Sending a vessel there could be risky, but Ryan did not hesitate. "Prepare the ship for immediate course change," he ordered. "We are going to Lethery." Engineer Olivia Brooks glanced up from the engine controls, surprised. "Captain, that sector is mostly uncharted. There could be hazards we do not know about." "I understand," Ryan replied calmly. "But those people are in danger. We cannot ignore them." Pilot Jason Carter, sitting in the cockpit, leaned back in his seat. "So we're going in blind, sir?" Ryan smiled faintly. "Sometimes, Jason, that is exactly what we have to do." Back on Lethery, the colony had seen small flashes of light in the distance. The raiders were moving through the fields now, their weapons firing at anything that moved. Explosions shook the ground, and plumes of smoke rose into the green sky. The people in the shelters huddled together, holding hands and praying silently. Erlon watched from the control room, tears forming in his eyes. He had sent the distress calls, but none had answered. For hours, he expected silence, the quiet death of his colony. And yet, as he stared at the horizon, a small speck of light appeared in the distance. He squinted, unsure if it was a trick of the eye. The light grew brighter, moving steadily toward them. It was unlike anything the raiders used. It was precise, controlled, and impossible to ignore. Erlon felt a spark of hope he had not felt in decades. Could it be someone coming to help? He sent a message again, hoping desperately that they would hear it. The Horizon Dawn moved with purpose, each crew member focused on their duties. Olivia monitored the engines, adjusting output to maintain stability. Jason guided the ship through debris and asteroid fields, while Ryan studied the sensor readings to track the raider ships. Every action was precise, calm, and deliberate far below. The Lethery watched the approaching warship. The colony had expected no aid. They had prepared for the end. And yet, here was something massive, shining, and moving toward them. Erlon whispered to himself. "It cannot be." But it is. The humans aboard Horizon Dawn did not know if the Lethery could understand them. They did not know if the raiders would attack before they arrived. But they moved forward with one certainty: help was their mission, and they would not turn away from it. As the ship drew closer, the green sky above the colony reflected the metallic hull, a strange and alien sight that inspired awe. The colony had waited in silence, expecting death. Instead, they saw a spark of life, of courage, of hope. And for the first time, they dared to believe that the galaxy might not be as silent as they thought. The Horizon Dawn moved steadily through the empty reaches of space, its engines humming a deep, controlled tone. Captain Ryan Cole stood on the bridge, his hands resting lightly on the console in front of him. The sensors showed the faint outlines of the raider fleet surrounding Lethery. Even at this distance, their movements were fast and calculated. Like predators circling an easy meal. Olivia Brooks, the ship's engineer, monitored the energy levels of the engines and shields. "Captain," she said, pointing at the screen, "the raiders are heavily armed. If we meet them head-on, our shields will take serious damage." Ryan nodded. "I know, but we have no choice. The colony will not survive without us. We have to hold the line, even if it means taking some hits." Pilot Jason Carter adjusted the ship's trajectory. "They're moving toward the planet now. We'll reach orbit in less than 30 minutes. What's the plan when we get there?" Ryan took a deep breath. "We'll make them see us first. We don't wait for them to attack. We strike in a way that shows them we are not just another colony ship. We are the Horizon Dawn." Jason laughed softly. "That's one way to announce ourselves." The crew prepared for action. Weapons were brought online, shields powered up, and communications checked. Every member of the bridge worked with quiet focus, knowing that the lives of thousands below depended on their skill and courage. Meanwhile, on Lethery, Erlon and his people watched the green sky nervously. The raiders moved closer, their shadowy ships darting through the atmosphere. Each flash of light sent shivers through the colony. Families clung together, and children buried their faces in their parents' arms. "This is it," Erlon whispered. "If no one comes now, we are finished." Suddenly, a bright light appeared above the colony. It was different from the raider ships, strong, steady, and impossible to ignore. The humans had arrived. The Horizon Dawn moved with purpose, positioning itself between the colony and the raiders. Ryan gave orders in a calm, steady voice. "Open a broadcast channel. Let's see if we can make them understand us first." The raider ships slowed slightly, suspicious of the new arrival. Ryan spoke into the comm, his voice firm but neutral. "This is Captain Ryan Cole of the Horizon Dawn. You are attacking a peaceful colony. Leave now or face consequences." The raiders did not respond. They had no idea who these humans were, and they had no respect for anyone outside their own kind. Instead, they advanced, weapons ready, preparing to attack the intruder. "Weapons ready," Ryan said to his officers. "We will not start this fight, but we will defend ourselves and the colony." Olivia and Jason worked together to bring the ship into optimal position. The energy beams charged, and the targeting systems locked onto the raider fleet. Every crew member knew the stakes. One mistake could cost thousands of lives. The first raider fired. A streak of red light moved across space, striking harmlessly against the Horizon Dawn shields. The ship vibrated under the impact, but the shields held. "Return fire." Ryan shouted. The Horizon Dawn's weapons unleashed a precise barrage. Blue beams cut through the darkness, striking the raider ships with calculated accuracy. Explosions lit up the void, and the raiders were thrown into confusion. They had never encountered a ship that fought with such controlled force. Olivia adjusted the engines, keeping the ship steady despite the enemy fire. "We're taking some hits, but the shields are holding. I can keep it up for a while." Jason maneuvered the ship between incoming fire and the colony below. "We need to make sure none of those shots hit the planet. Keep the shields oriented toward them." Below, the Lethery watched in awe. The humans did not just fight, they moved with skill, protecting the colony like a wall of light. Erlon could hardly believe his eyes. He had expected death, but now he saw hope. The raiders regrouped and tried a new tactic. Small fighter ships dove toward the Horizon Dawn from different angles, hoping to overwhelm it. But the human ship moved as if it had eyes everywhere. Each attack was countered, each enemy intercepted. Captain Ryan studied the movements carefully. "They are organized, but they underestimate us. Keep the fire controlled. Aim for the leaders." Olivia nodded, focusing on the larger ships. "Small fighters won't last long against our beams." Jason's hands flew over the controls, dodging the fast attacks while keeping the weapons aimed. The Horizon Dawn moved like a living thing, weaving through enemy fire, responding to every threat with skill and precision. The raiders were stunned. Their attacks, which had destroyed everything in the colony, now seemed ineffective. One by one, their ships were disabled, leaving the rest uncertain and hesitant. Erlon watched the humans with tears in his eyes. He whispered to himself, "They came for us. No one asked them to. And yet, here they are." The Horizon Dawn continued its assault, focusing on the Raider command ship. It was larger than the rest and led the attacks with sharp precision. Ryan spoke to his crew calmly, his voice steady despite the tension. "This is our chance. Take out the command ship. Once it falls, the rest will scatter." Olivia adjusted the energy output, charging the weapons to maximum capacity. "Ready when you are, Captain." Jason maneuvered the ship closer to the target, dodging debris and laser fire. Getting in range now, Ryan gave the order, "Fire." A surge of energy blasted from the Horizon Dawn, striking the command ship directly. The Raider vessel shook violently, fire spreading across its hull. Explosions erupted, sending smaller ships tumbling into the void. The Raider formation began to collapse, chaos spreading through their ranks. The Lethery cheered, though their voices were muted through the protective shelters. Families hugged, some crying in disbelief. Their home, which they had thought lost, was now safe for the moment, but the battle was not over. The Raiders still had ships, and they were angry. They regrouped, attempting another attack, but the Horizon Dawn was ready. Ryan's strategy was clear: defend the colony, protect civilians, and disable the enemy with precision, not recklessness. Olivia and Jason worked tirelessly, their hands moving quickly but carefully. Every beam fired was measured, every maneuver deliberate. The ship took hits, small sparks flying across the hull, but the shields held firm. Captain Ryan kept a calm presence on the bridge. "They underestimate us because they do not understand humans. They have never seen a ship fight with discipline, skill, and courage at the same time." The Raiders realized they could not break through. Their smaller ships were being destroyed one by one, and their command ship was lost. They had never encountered such a force, and fear spread through their fleet. Finally, the Raiders began to retreat, moving quickly away from the planet. The Horizon Dawn followed at a safe distance, ensuring no stragglers returned. The green sky of Lethery was quiet once more, and the colony could breathe. Erlon emerged from the shelter, his eyes wide as he looked at the human ship hovering above them. He could hardly believe what he saw. "They did it," he said softly. "They saved us." The crew of Horizon Dawn remained vigilant, scanning for any signs of the enemy. Ryan spoke to Erlon through the comm. "The Raiders are gone. Your colony is safe, for now. But you should prepare for any future threats." Erlon nodded. "I will. But you? You came when no one else would." "I cannot thank you enough." Ryan smiled faintly. "You don't need to thank us. We help because it is right. That is all." Below, the people of Lethery began to emerge from their shelters. They looked at the humans with a mix of awe and gratitude. They had expected death, and instead, they found life. As the Horizon Dawn maintained its position above the colony, the crew allowed themselves a brief moment of quiet. The battle had been dangerous, the odds were high, but humanity had stood firm, protecting those who could not defend themselves. Olivia whispered to Jason, "I can't believe how close that was." They were completely unprepared. Jason nodded, looking at the calm colony below. "It's not about preparation. It's about courage and skill. We did what had to be done." Ryan stood quietly, watching the stars. He knew this was only one battle in a vast galaxy. There would be more challenges, more threats. But for now, the colony of Lethery was safe, and humanity had shown what it could do when no aid was expected. The quiet of space returned. But this time it was different. The silence was no longer empty. It carried a message. Humanity would not stand by when others were in danger. Humanity's presence alone had shattered the fear that had gripped Lethery for hours. And far below, Erlon looked up at the Horizon Dawn, still shining against the green sky. He realized something profound, even in the vast emptiness of the galaxy. Humans were a force unlike any other, a force that came not for reward, not for glory, but for the simple act of helping. The colony would remember this day forever. The Raiders would tell stories of the ship that appeared from nowhere, and the people of Lethery would tell stories of the humans who fought for strangers, whose courage had changed the fate of an entire world. For the first time in decades, the Lethery felt hope, And somewhere aboard the Horizon Dawn, Captain Ryan Cole smiled quietly. He knew the galaxy was full of darkness, but light could be found even in the most unexpected places. The Horizon Dawn would remain near Lethery until the colony could rebuild and recover, ensuring the safety of the people they had saved. And when it was time to leave, they would do so quietly, without fanfare, without expectation. The Horizon Dawn hovered in orbit above Lethery, its hull glowing softly against the green sky. Below, the colony was quiet, but the people remained alert. Erlon had ordered patrols around the outer fields, cautious that the raiders might return. The humans had fought fiercely, but the battle was not over. There was always a chance that the raiders would regroup and strike again. Captain Ryan Cole stood on the bridge, staring at the sensors. Most of the raider fleet had retreated, but small bands of ships were still moving through nearby sectors. He did not underestimate them. Humans had learned long ago that danger often returned in unexpected ways. "Captain," Olivia Brooks said, her eyes on the energy monitors, "we still have minor damage on the shields. The raiders may have been weakened, but we can't assume they are done." Ryan nodded. "Keep the engines stable. We need full maneuverability if they come back." Jason Carter adjusted the flight controls. "I've been tracking small signals in the outer sectors. They could be raider scouts, testing our response." Ryan's expression was calm but focused. "Prepare the weapons and defensive systems. If they show up again, we meet them with everything we have." Far below, the Lethery colony was recovering from the first wave of attacks. The people emerged from shelters, their faces showing relief mixed with fear. Many had lost their homes or supplies, but they were alive. The sight of the human ship above had given them hope they never expected. Erlon walked among the people, calming them, giving instructions for repairs and organization. He could not stop thinking about the humans. They had arrived with no promise of reward, no demand for payment. They had simply come because someone was in danger. "This is not just help," he said quietly to a colleague. "This is courage. This is what humans do." Back on the Horizon Dawn, the calm did not last long. Sensors detected movement. A small fleet of raider ships was heading directly toward the colony. They had not given up. They were returning for a second attack, likely angrier and more desperate than before. "Captain," Olivia said, pointing at the redouts, "they're coming in fast. They may be trying to catch the colony unprepared." Ryan gave a steady nod. "This is exactly why we stay in orbit. We are their shield. Prepare to intercept. Jason, position us between them and the colony. Olivia, keep the shields at maximum." The raiders appeared as dark shapes against the stars, moving with aggressive speed. They fired warning shots at the colony below, hoping to provoke panic and confusion. But the humans were ready. Jason guided the Horizon Dawn between the raiders and the colony. "They won't get through us," he said, his voice steady. "Not while we're here." The Horizon Dawn opened fire first, striking with pinpoint accuracy. Beams of blue energy sliced through the darkness, disabling several raider ships instantly. Explosions lit the space around them. The raiders faltered, unsure of how to respond. "Target their leaders first," Ryan commanded. "We take out the command ships, and the rest will scatter." Olivia adjusted the energy output, keeping the shields strong while powering the weapons. "We can hold them, Captain. They can't break through." The raiders were relentless. Smaller ships darted around, trying to flank the Horizon Dawn, while larger vessels moved forward with heavy weapons ready. But the humans anticipated every move. Jason maneuvered the ship with precise skill, dodging attacks and keeping the weapons aimed at the most dangerous targets below. The Lethery watched in awe. They could not understand the technology or the tactics, but they understood the courage. The humans moved with certainty and control. Each blast struck where it was meant to strike. Each move was calculated. They were not reckless, and yet they were fearless. Erlon whispered to himself. "They fight like no one I have ever seen. They fight like the galaxy itself stands behind them." The battle continued, fierce and intense. The Horizon Dawn took hits, but the shields held strong. Sparks and small explosions marked the hull, but the crew worked together to manage every problem. Every officer knew their role, and every officer executed it perfectly. Ryan gave orders calmly, even as alarms rang out. Do not panic. Focus on strategy, not fear. Protect the colony at all costs. The raiders tried a new tactic. They split their forces, hoping to attack from multiple angles at once. But the Horizon Dawn moved like a single living organism. Jason dodged incoming fire while keeping the weapons aimed. Olivia balanced shields and energy output, and Ryan directed the attacks with careful precision. Several raider ships were destroyed, their hulls torn apart by energy beams. The remaining ships hesitated, confused and unsure. The humans did not chase recklessly. They maintained their position, protecting the colony while disabling the raiders. This is incredible, Olivia said quietly. They thought they could overwhelm us, but they can't match our coordination, Jason nodded. Humans fight differently. They think, plan, and adapt faster than anyone expects. The Horizon Dawn focused on the largest remaining raider vessel, their command ship. Ryan calculated the best approach, knowing a direct strike could end the fight. We end this now, he said calmly. Target the command ship. Precision, not power. We do not waste energy. Olivia charged the main weapon system, the energy building steadily. Jason positioned the ship for a clean shot, avoiding debris and incoming fire. The command ship fired its weapons, but the Horizon Dawn shields absorbed the blasts. Now, Ryan shouted. A precise beam struck the command ship directly. Explosions erupted across its hull, tearing it apart. Small raider ships scattered in fear, some retreating immediately, others trying to regroup. The human ship had shown its power, and the raiders understood that they could not win. The Lethery watched in disbelief. They had expected the worst, and instead, they saw salvation. The humans had not just defended them. They had destroyed the enemy's ability to fight. Erlon stepped outside the shelters, his hands raised in relief. They have saved us, he said, his voice filled with wonder. They have done what no one else could. The Horizon Dawn maintained its position, scanning for any remaining threats. The raiders were gone for now, scattered and disorganized. The humans had held the line and protected the colony. Ryan looked at his crew. Check systems. Make sure we are ready in case they come back. We cannot leave until we are certain the colony is safe. Olivia and Jason worked quickly, repairing minor damage and monitoring sensors. The ship had taken some hits, but nothing critical. The crew had performed flawlessly under pressure. Below, the colony began to recover. People emerged slowly, repairing buildings and tending to the wounded. Erlon moved among them, helping as best he could, but always keeping his eyes on the sky. He wanted to understand these humans who had come from nowhere and change the fate of his people. They fight not for reward, he whispered to a colleague. They fight because it is right. That is what makes them different. That is what makes them strong. Hours passed, and the Horizon Dawn remained in orbit, ensuring the colony's safety. The humans did not celebrate, did not boast. They simply monitored the area, ready to respond if danger returned. Their focus was on duty, on protection, on doing what needed to be done. As the sun of Lethery began to rise, casting golden light over the blue fields, the people below realized they were alive. They had faced death, and humanity had come for them. The story of the day would be remembered for generations. The day humans arrived, when no one else would. The day a single ship held back destruction and showed what courage, skill, and determination could accomplish. Captain Ryan Cole stood silently on the bridge, watching the planet below. He knew this was only one battle in a galaxy full of threats. But he also knew something important. Humanity's strength was not just in its technology, or its ships, or its weapons. It was in the people who chose to act, who chose to help, who refused to turn away from those in need. Erlon and his people would tell their children and grandchildren about this day. They would speak of the humans who fought with courage and skill, who protected strangers without question, who became their shield and their hope. And far above, the Horizon Dawn waited quietly, ready for the next challenge. The galaxy was dangerous, full of enemies and uncertainty, but the humans had shown that when no aid was expected, they would still arrive. The silence returned, but this time it was different. The silence was full of possibility, full of hope, and full of the memory of what had been done. Humanity had shattered the darkness with its courage, and the people of Lethery would never forget, even as the Horizon Dawn prepared to leave orbit, scanning for any sign of the raiders returning. Captain Ryan knew that the galaxy had been changed. Humanity had shown what it could do, and the message was clear. No matter how far or how alone someone might be, help could come when it was needed most. Below, the colony began the slow process of rebuilding. The humans had given them time, safety, and hope. And as they worked, Erelon looked up at the stars and whispered a quiet promise. We will not forget. We will tell the story of the humans who came when all seemed lost. The Horizon Dawn would remain a guardian in the skies until the threat had passed completely. And when it left, it would leave behind more than safety. It would leave behind a lesson that the Lethery would carry. Forever, courage, skill, and selfless action could change the course of history.